In a world obsessed with fixing symptoms, have we forgotten the ancient minds that understood suffering not as a glitch, but as a teacher? Modern psychology wants you to cope, but ancient wisdom? It dares to ask, why are you suffering in the first place? We live in an age of therapy, a flood of psychological experts, and a self-help industry that's absolutely booming. Yet, let's be honest with ourselves. Are we truly mastering mental well-being? Or are we perhaps collectively turning a blind eye to profound truths that have been quietly waiting for millennia? Think about it. Anxiety, depression, a pervasive sense of unease, they're not just statistics, they're escalating globally, maybe even in your own life. What if the answers you're desperately seeking in the newest therapy trend or the latest pill have been here all along, hidden in traditions we've arrogantly dismissed as ancient or unscientific? This isn't just a whimsical notion, it's an uncomfortable, brutally honest truth we need to face. You thought they respected you, but really, they respected your availability. What happens when you take that away? Welcome. Today, we're not just skimming, we're diving deep into a comparison that might just rattle your worldview, but could also be profoundly liberating. Why is it that ancient practices, those rooted in the bedrock of Buddhist mindfulness and Stoic resilience, often carve out more robust, holistic, and, dare I say, more effective pathways to mental well-being than many of our contemporary psychological darlings? Modern psychology, bless its ambitious heart, has certainly sharpened our understanding of the mind, offering frameworks and treatments that have been a lifeline for many. But what if its very newness is its Achilles heel, forever chasing symptoms while the deep roots of our collective disquiet just dig deeper? Ancient wisdom, on the other hand, isn't a dusty museum piece. It's the concentrated espresso shot of millennia focused on the human condition. These aren't quaint beliefs, they are sophisticated operating systems for cultivating inner peace, unshakable fortitude, and a genuine grasp of suffering and contentment. It's a hard pill to swallow, but often, the more you are available, the less valuable you become. In this discussion, we'll explore how these ancient systems get to the very core of our mental and emotional battles in ways modern psychology is only now, sometimes rather superficially, beginning to acknowledge. Like finding a new recipe that's actually been in your grandmother's cookbook for generations. We're set to uncover timeless principles that could revolutionize how you see your own mind, potentially proving more potent than many current therapies. This isn't about trashing modern psychology, but about drawing a clear line where its insights might end and where ancient wisdom offers a deeper, time-tested trail. So, prepare to question your assumptions, because the uncomfortable truth is that in our relentless sprint for the new, we might have tripped right over the timeless. Are you ready to trade the illusion of newness for the power of timelessness? Modern psychology, this ambitious youngster born in the late 19th century, is on a mission to decode the mind through rigorous research and therapy. From Freud's couch to CBT, DBT, and ACT, its journey has given us valuable tools, with some therapies even giving a little wink to mindfulness, a subtle, if sometimes shallow, nod to that older wisdom. It champions evidence-based diagnosis and structured treatments. And yes, while controversial, psychiatric medications have certainly thrown a lifeline to many in acute distress. The strengths are clear: a dedication to evidence, the attempt at diagnostic clarity, and a constant hum of innovation, all fostering a much-needed conversation about mental health. But does this meticulously structured approach, with all its charts and labels, truly embrace the messy, beautiful, full spectrum of human experience? Or does it sometimes just shrink us down to a manageable list of symptoms? This modern toolkit, for all its shine, has some significant holes. A major critique: its tendency towards reductionism. In its noble scientific quest, it can chop up the human experience into little pieces, focusing on symptom management, putting a bandage on a bullet wound, rather than addressing the deeper, existential aches that cause our suffering. The diagnostic system, while useful, can be a bit trigger-happy, pathologizing perfectly normal human reactions to a crazy world. As some critics point out, diagnostic criteria can be a bit flexible, shall we say, risking a pandemic of over-diagnosis. Maybe your anxiety isn't a disorder. maybe it's a screaming alarm that you're trying to live a life that simply isn't yours. Furthermore, mainstream psychology can sometimes feel like it's looking at you in a vacuum, an individualistic, almost mechanistic view, zeroed in on fixing an internal glitch, while perhaps downplaying the colossal impact of society, culture, economics, and our environment on how we feel. Critical psychology even pokes at these norms, asking uncomfortable questions about how power and social injustice mold our very definition of mental health. Let's be real, the price of fitting in is often your own soul. Then there's the stark, often whispered, reality of treatment efficacy. Many therapies are paraded as evidence-based, yet real-world results can be, well, a mixed bag. Studies sometimes suggest the benefits of certain treatments, including some common antidepressants, might be pretty modest for a lot of folks, or that solid proof for some therapies is still playing hide-and-seek. This naturally leads to the eyebrow-raising question, are we truly getting to the heart of the matter? Perhaps the most glaring gap is the frequent overlooking of raw, experiential wisdom. That spiritual dimension, not necessarily religious, mind you, and the deliberate cultivation of virtue and meaning as core ingredients for mental well-being. While positive psychology is starting to explore happiness, the wider field often seems more interested in dialing down the bad rather than actively building a resilient, meaningful life. Think about it. Modern therapy often tells you to cope. Ancient wisdom leans in and asks, but why are you suffering in the first place? And maybe, just maybe, deep down you already knew that no pill can magically erase the sting of self-abandonment. The very fact that practices like mindfulness are now stitched into MBCT and MBSR is a quiet admission of the power of these ancient techniques. But is this integration truly deep? Or is it more like borrowing a few fancy words without understanding the profound philosophy they came from? So, next time that broken feeling hits, don't just ask, ugh, what's busted in me? Try this instead. All right, feeling, what's your story? What lesson are you screaming at me? When you look at the available solutions, how many of them treat you like a machine to be tuned up rather than a soul longing to be understood? As we bump up against the limits of modern psychological methods, doesn't it just make sense to turn, with a bit of humility, to systems that have not only survived but thrived for millennia, offering stunningly profound insights into this messy thing called the human condition? These are not quaint museum relics, folks. They are sophisticated, living traditions offering potent, well-trodden pathways to mental and emotional flourishing. Today, we're focusing on two absolute titans, Buddhist mindfulness and Stoic resilience. Born worlds apart, they offer strikingly similar, and often far deeper, answers to our timeless human struggles. Buddhism, which began its journey in India over 2,500 years ago, is at its heart a science of the mind. It's not a religion in the Western sense. It's a deep, pragmatic analysis of suffering, what they call dukkha, and a crystal-clear roadmap to its end. The Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. This path isn't about blind faith. It emphasizes wisdom, living ethically, and training your mind through practices like mindfulness and meditation and samadhi. And let's be clear, mindfulness in its authentic Buddhist context is a universe away from your trendy stress reduction app. It's a profound way of paying purposeful, non-judgmental attention to the present moment, revealing the ever-changing, impermanent nature of our experiences, and crucially, loosening the death grip of attachment and aversion, the very roots of our mental anguish. Here's a little secret. Peace isn't found in forcing silence. It's found in not needing to explain that silence to anyone. Stoicism, popping up in ancient Greece around the 3rd century BCE with philosophical heavyweights like Zeno, Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, offers an incredibly practical playbook for navigating life's inevitable chaos with wisdom and a calm spirit. Its cornerstone, the dichotomy of control, learning to tell the difference between what's actually in your power, your thoughts, judgments, desires, actions, and what's absolutely not. External events, other people's behavior, your body's quirks, your reputation. Stoics cut straight to the chase. Suffering doesn't come from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. By cultivating rational assessment, truly accepting the uncontrollable, and focusing on virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, temperance, you can reach apatheia, a state of freedom from those turbulent, disturbing passions. What gives these ancient traditions such enduring power? Well, their sheer longevity ought to tell you something. They offer a holistic view, seeing mind, body, ethics, and how we engage with the world as totally interconnected. They don't just aim to fix a problem, they aim to transform your entire way of being. Let this sink in. The ancients didn't have less turmoil. They simply had better tools for their inner world. Crucially, both Buddhism and Stoicism are all about personal responsibility and the hard yards of inner work. They teach that the keys to your well-being lie right there within your own mind, in your capacity to cultivate wisdom and resilience, not primarily in your external circumstances or some magical quick fix. They give you not just theories, but daily, practical techniques. And here's a fun fact, or maybe an inconvenient one for some. Many so-called discoveries of modern psychology, like the power of reframing, acceptance, and mindfulness, were central, everyday concepts in these traditions for centuries. Oops, spoiler alert for the newest self-help bestseller. Try this just for kicks. For 24 hours, grab a mental notepad. Every time you find yourself pointing the finger, it's their fault I feel like this. Then hit pause and ask yourself, okay, drama llama, what's my part? What can I actually shift right here, right now? If these ancient tools have guided people through plagues, wars, and every imaginable human drama for millennia, what makes you think your unique brand of modern chaos is too special for them? Let's get specific. Where do Buddhist mindfulness and Stoic resilience not just run parallel to modern psychology, but often surge ahead, revealing ancient wisdom's distinct edge? Modern psychology often looks at suffering, your anxiety, your depression, your distress, as a malfunction, a problem to be squashed, or a symptom to be managed, sometimes with a pill, or by trying to Jedi mind trick your thoughts into avoiding negative emotions. But does slapping a disorder label on suffering truly help you? Or does it sometimes just make you scared of your own perfectly human experience? The very first noble truth of Buddhism, dukkha, suffering or profound dissatisfaction, doesn't shy away. It places this experience right at the center of its investigation. It's not some weird anomaly to be suppressed, but a fundamental, unavoidable feature of human existence, sprouting from craving, aversion, and fundamentally misunderstanding reality, like the fact that everything changes or that there's no fixed, permanent you. The goal isn't to magically eliminate everything unpleasant. That's impossible, sorry, but to radically transform your relationship to it. What if healing doesn't begin where you feel safe, but in the heart of the discomfort you finally stop running from? Stoicism is just as gutsy. Epictetus laid it down plain. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. This is monumental. Instead of desperately trying to manipulate the uncontrollable outside world to dodge discomfort, good luck with that. Stoicism trains your mind to reinterpret events and manage your internal reaction. The practice of premeditatio malorum, thinking ahead about possible misfortunes, isn't about being a gloomy Gus. It's mental toughness training, conditioning yourself for resilience. Ancient wisdom doesn't flee from suffering. It walks right into the storm with it, fostering profound, lasting change. Modern psychology, while it's slowly catching up with concepts like acceptance, often serves these up as isolated techniques, snipped away from their transformative philosophical roots, like offering you a single, fancy spice and pretending it's the whole complex, nourishing meal. Modern therapies, even when they mean well by addressing external stressors, can sometimes sneakily nurture an external locus of control, the feeling that your well-being is mostly dictated by what's happening out there. If the problem is out there, well, then the solution must be too, right? But what if the real command center was never out there to begin with? Stoicism's dichotomy of control is a powerful antidote to this. Peace and resilience, the Stoics taught, bloom from focusing your precious energy only on what is truly within your control, your character, your responses, and accepting everything else with a calm equanimity. Marcus Aurelius wrote about fiercely protecting his inner citadel, his guiding principle, even when the world outside was a raging dumpster fire. Buddhist teachings similarly shout from the rooftops about an internal locus of control. The source of dukkha, that deep dissatisfaction, is internal. It's our cravings, our aversions, our illusions. So guess what? Liberation also lies within, through purifying the mind and cultivating wisdom and compassion. Mindfulness isn't just about chilling out. It's rigorous training in mastering your reactive patterns. The ancients understood a fundamental truth. Inner peace is not some fluffy luxury. It's a discipline. The edge here is ancient wisdom's unwavering laser focus on forging an internal wellspring of resilience, one that's far less dependent on the fickle, chaotic external world. While modern psychology might teach you stress management, bless its heart, like trying to put a lid on a frantically boiling pot, these philosophies teach stress transcendence. See the difference? Clinical psychology, more often than not, operates like an emergency room. Help is usually sought when distress has already hit critical levels. And while preventative mental health care is a growing field, the dominant model is still about fixing what's broken. But is this constant focus on fixing what's gone wrong causing us to neglect the profound art of building a strong foundation in the first place? Ancient wisdom traditions are inherently proactive and deeply holistic. Buddhism and Stoicism aren't just therapeutic toolkits to pull out in a crisis. They are comprehensive designs for living. The Buddhist Eightfold Path, for example, isn't a quick fix. It's an integrated, lifelong guide to an ethical, mindful, and wise life. Mental training isn't a scheduled appointment. It extends into every single facet of your existence. Stoicism is a life dedicated to the ongoing, daily pursuit of virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. The aim isn't merely to feel better, but to be better, cultivating a virtuous character that naturally leads to eudaimonia, genuine human flourishing. They didn't wait for the hurricane to hit before they learned how to build an ark. They built it, plank by plank, every single day. The edge here is the profound understanding that mental well-being isn't a destination you arrive at, but the continuous, organic result of living a virtuous, mindful, and purposeful life. So take a hard look. Are you constantly firefighting a life you don't truly want? Or are you architecting one that naturally supports your peace? Okay, your mission, should you choose to accept it. Pick one tiny thing you can do today that screams good character, not to fix some glaring flaw, but just to build that inner awesome. Like, actually listen when someone talks without planning your reply, or let that car merge without a grudge. Small stuff, big returns. When you look in the mirror, do you see someone frantically patching up cracks, or someone forging an unshakable core? Having compared these approaches, we arrive at the real grit, the core of it all, the uncomfortable truth. And why uncomfortable? Because frankly, it throws a wrench in our cherished modern narratives of perpetual progress and infallible expertise. It whispers, rather insistently, that in our breathless chase for novelty and scientific validation, we might have casually dismissed wisdom far more profound and battle-tested by time itself. The first wave of discomfort hits when you realize that many brand new psychological insights are, well, ancient principles dressed up in modern jargon. Cognitive restructuring in CBT? It echoes Stoic reevaluation of judgments, almost verbatim. Mindfulness, now a billion-dollar industry, is a 2,500-year-old core Buddhist practice, often served up in a secularized, sometimes heavily diluted form. Funny how new discoveries often have ancient patents, isn't it? Are we truly innovating? Or are we just rediscovering, and sometimes, let's be honest, trivializing, what was deeply understood long ago? When we medicalize these profound practices, do we accidentally strip them of their soul? The second discomfort squirms around the nature of healing and who's holding the reins. The modern medical model, for all its benefits, can inadvertently cast patients in a passive role. Ancient wisdom, however, thrusts radical responsibility right back into your lap. Both Buddhism and Stoicism assert unequivocally that while external events are often wildly beyond our control, our inner responses and the path to genuine flourishing are ours and ours alone. to command. This is uncomfortable because it means the work is ours. No shortcuts, no magic pills for enlightenment, no outsourcing your inner peace. It demands discipline. And the raw truth is, most people don't actually want to be healed. They want to be comfortably coddled back into their familiar discomfort zone. A third discomfort rears its head when we dare to scrutinize our societal values. Ancient wisdom consistently highlights that frantically chasing external validation, piling up material wealth, or grasping at fleeting pleasures is a surefire recipe for causing suffering. Modern society, often implicitly and sometimes explicitly supported by mainstream psychology, can champion these very things as the glittering prizes of a good life. What if our escalating mental health crisis is in part a symptom of an entire culture profoundly misaligned with what truly allows humans to flourish? A diagnosis these ancient philosophies made loud and clear centuries ago. Then there's the rather humbling notion that ancient could, in some crucial ways, be better, which directly challenges our ingrained belief in linear, upward-only progress. What if, in the intricate art of understanding the human mind, the ancients, through millennia of dedicated introspection and lived experience, achieved insights more fundamental, more bedrock, than a discipline still, relatively speaking, in its infancy? This requires a hefty dose of humility. It makes us question if purely empirical methods are sufficient to truly grasp the vastness of consciousness, suggesting that experiential ways of knowing are not just valid, but profoundly so. Maybe, just maybe, the real experts are not those armed with the newest peer-reviewed theories, but those who've patiently walked the oldest, dustiest paths. Finally, the uncomfortable truth might be that modern psychology, in its admirable stretch for scientific recognition, sometimes sidesteps the colossal existential questions that ancient philosophies courageously confront head-on: the very nature of suffering, the purpose of life, the cultivation of wisdom, the reality of impermanence. Focusing on symptom reduction, while important, can miss the profound, life-altering transformation that is born only from wrestling with these larger, more meaningful questions. So, let me ask you, and be honest with yourself. Are you genuinely seeking robust well-being, or are you just looking for a permission slip to stay comfortable in your current patterns? All right, detective time. Pick one of those persistent "I should be/have" voices nagging in your head. Just one. Now, play interrogator. Where did you come from, Mr. Should? And frankly, are you doing me any real good, or are you just an expert at stressing me out? Are you brave enough to admit that the progress you're chasing externally might be a magnificent distraction from the profound evolution waiting patiently for you internally? While these ancient philosophies are undeniably profound, their true thunderous potency lies in their application. These aren't just pretty ideas to ponder over a cup of tea. They are actionable, roll-up-your-sleeves strategies for genuine inner transformation. What if the most profound changes don't come from desperately adding more to your already cluttered life, but from deeply understanding what you need to let go of? These aren't just fluffy ideas your yoga teacher whispers. These are battle-tested strategies for your brain. Let's distill some of these timeless ideas into stuff you can actually do. We've journeyed through some profound and perhaps pretty challenging ideas today. The uncomfortable truth, as we've seen, is that the path to genuine, unshakable mental well-being may indeed be older and demand a bit more from us than we're often told. But here's the flip side. It offers unparalleled rewards, true resilience, authentic inner peace, and a life that genuinely feels meaningful. So what's stirring in you right now? Look, you've just spent time with these ideas. Don't let them just be interesting. What one thing sparked something in you? What made you nod? Or even get a bit defensive? That's good too. What limitations in the modern approaches have you personally bumped up against? Have you already dipped your toes into practices like mindfulness or stoicism? How did it change the game for you? Share your insights, your experiences, your hard-earned wisdom, and your questions in the comments below. This is a crucial conversation, one we need to have more often, and your unique perspective is absolutely invaluable. If today's discussion resonated deep within you, if it sparked even a tiny flicker of desire to delve deeper into these timeless truths, please give this video a like, and subscribe for more content that challenges conventional thinking and explores ancient wisdom for our modern lives. And don't forget to click that notification bell so you don't miss our future explorations. What's the one uncomfortable truth from today that you're going to sit with, wrestle with, or explore this week? In our collective and deeply human pursuit of mental well-being, it's become abundantly clear that while modern psychology certainly provides valuable tools for the kit, it doesn't hold all the answers. Nor does it possess the definitive map. The uncomfortable truth, as we've explored together, is that ancient wisdom traditions like Buddhist mindfulness and Stoic resilience frequently offer pathways that are more holistic, more thoroughly time-tested, and arguably far deeper, leading to genuine inner peace and true, sustainable flourishing. These ancient systems teach us not to run from suffering, but to engage with it directly, not as a mere symptom for quick elimination, but as an intrinsic, teacher-laden part of life, one that can be understood and ultimately transformed through wisdom and dedicated patient practice. They empower us by pulling back the curtain and revealing that the real wellspring of resilience and lasting contentment resides firmly within our own minds, within our innate capacity for virtuous action, helping us cultivate an unshakable internal locus of control. They offer not just reactive treatments for when things go wrong, but proactive, all-encompassing philosophies for living a life dedicated to continuous self-cultivation and ethical engagement with the world. The uncomfortable part of this truth is acknowledging that our shiny modern methods may be incomplete, that the allure of quick fixes is often a mirage, and that authentic well-being demands profound personal responsibility, consistent inner work, and at times a radical, courageous re-evaluation of both our societal and personal values. And yes, it's uncomfortable because it means looking you in the eye and saying, the power, the responsibility, the work, it's yours. No more outsourcing your peace of mind. It calls for the humility to learn from traditions that have patiently plumbed the depths of human consciousness for millennia. Perhaps the greatest discomfort and yet the greatest liberation is realizing that freedom was always an inside job. Yet, this truth is also profoundly, wonderfully liberating. It means that powerful, life-altering tools for transformation are accessible to every single one of us, right now. They are not confined to clinics or hidden in prescriptions, but are embedded in practices that cultivate awareness, acceptance, wisdom, and virtue. By thoughtfully integrating the best of modern understanding with the profound depth of ancient wisdom, we can forge a more comprehensive, more effective, and ultimately more human approach to living a truly fulfilling life. The journey to reclaim this wisdom isn't about regressing to a romanticized past, but about courageously weaving these timeless truths into the very fabric of a more resilient, more compassionate, and more enlightened future. Thank you for joining this exploration. May you find strength, may you find clarity, and above all, may you find the courage to look within on your path. The ancient trails are always open. The only real question is, will you choose to walk them?